Wanda Maximoff's story up till now in the MCU had been thrilling. Despite being used very sparingly, the small parts she played often amounted to big events or situations in universe. So with the announcement of WandaVision, I was excited that we would finally get a more in-depth look at a character who had often been on the sidelines. WandaVision picks up shortly after the fallout of Avengers Endgame, following Wanda and Vision as they traverse their way through different eras of sitcoms. They find themselves in weird and wacky situations, but there seems to be something darker hidden underneath the falsities of their sitcom life. Now, over the course of 9 episodes, WandaVision manages to do something completely different, something we've never seen in the MCU before, letting a character have a fully fleshed out arc, all contained in one project. While WandaVision is still a superhero show, truly, WandaVision is a tale of grief and pain, and the story of how one woman traverses these emotions. This is the genius of WandaVision. Spoilers ahead. If we're tracking Wanda's current journey through the MCU, it becomes clear pretty quickly how she would break under the mountain of pain she's had to bear. First losing her parents in a bombing in Sokovia, then partnering with Hydra in the hopes of fixing the world, and then partnering with a robot who ended up wanting to see the world completely destroyed. Only then to switch sides to partner with the Avengers and have her brother die protecting one of them. After bearing all this grief, we see her find her footing again, this time as a member of Cap's Avengers, only to cause a horrific accident killing people in Lagos, motivating the Sokovia Accords. Now in all these scenarios, we see that Wanda really isn't a bad person though. All her choices, despite some of them being misplaced, come from a good, well-intentioned place. She wanted to make the world better, a place where no one would have to experience the pain she's went through. Yet Wanda's journey of pain doesn't stop with Lagos. We next find Wanda again living a fairly stable life with Vision. They're able to have the relationship and time with each other that they had so longed for, until Wanda must kill him to save the universe, and then realise that all the pain she went through in killing him was for nothing, and has to watch him die again. Insert WandaVision.
WandaVision!
We essentially pick up Wanda's story right after the traumatic events of Infinity War and Endgame, and as detailed prior, she was really hanging by a thread, and watching her lover die twice might have just been the final straw. Wanda is aware of the pain and grief she has to bear, but in the past she's had the most human character in the MCU, Vision, to be her emotional compass to help her navigate the pain she feels. Now without him, she breaks, unable to contain all the trauma that is built up inside her. She lets it all go, creating an idealized place where she and Vision can live happily ever after. Except that was Wanda's first mistake. Vision. Vision was not only a highly intelligent being who used his knowledge to help others, he was also Wanda's grip on reality. Without the details of their past together, Vision is not aware of the emotional intricacies of his and Wanda's relationship, and how he helped her cope with her pain.
Before what? Before what? I can't remember my life before Westview. I don't know who I am. I'm scared.
Inside, he is confused and conflicted as to what his nature is. He is unable to process Wanda's emotions. And essentially, for the first 7 episodes, Wanda is attempting to keep the facade, not only for herself, but also making the world wackier and more interesting, to keep this fake version of Vision from questioning his reality too much. Vision starts the series as an innocent bystander, following the flow of Wanda's constructed storylines. But as time goes on, he develops more and more agency, making the tricks Wanda must pull to distract him more and more elaborate. Episode 5 highlights this perfectly, as Wanda is aging her children and then introducing a dog simply to keep Vision from asking too many questions.
They're empty.
Then where are the twins?
Mommy? Daddy?
Kids. Can't control them.
Your father and I don't think you're ready to properly care for an animal until you're at least 10 years old. Wait.
Wait,
No,
now
no, no.
hang on there
No, no,
a
no, no.
minute, you young whippersnappers.
And it's hence these endless attempts to keep her fantasy alive and Vision tricked, all while dealing with the inner pain that brings her fantasy crumbling down. Now, pain and grief are not solely confined to Wanda. WandaVision sees the introduction of the adult Monica Rambeau. In the first 3 episodes, we only know her as Geraldine, until Wanda expels her from the Hex, and we find in episode 4 who Monica truly is. We first see her in a beautifully horrific scene, where she appears getting dusted back into the hospital room where her mum was. We then find out that Monica's mum has passed away in the 5 years that passed since the snap. Monica hence experiences a great pain and grief at this news. And her response? Monica throws herself into work back at S.W.O.R.D. Much like Wanda, she is ignoring the pain she feels and is thrusting herself into her job as a distraction to how hurt she is feeling. It creates this interesting dichotomy, but also parallel between the 2 characters. Both characters unable to know what to do with their grief, one deciding to live in the past, and one trying to move forward and leave the past behind. It is why, after Monica has been in the Hex, since we know that everyone in the Hex is essentially feeling Wanda's pain, that Monica decides to let her go at the end. She's felt Wanda's burden, and it resonates with the loss she's experienced, and understands how she's feeling. Unlike the people of Westview, Monica has been able to see both sides of the situation. She knows the errors of Wanda's ways, but while still trying to process her own grief, understands that if she could hurt a little less, she would have done the same.
And you don't. You don't hate me.
Given the chance and given your power, I'd bring my mom back. I know I would.
The defining aspect of trauma is that the pain a person bears is so heavy that it makes remembering so agonizing that said person is unable to communicate their hurt. In episode 8, Wanda is forced to relive this pain, as Agatha takes her on a journey through the most traumatizing moments of her life. Here we start to see the facade Wanda has created, the blissful ignorance she's been living in, break down right in front of her eyes. A theme and throughline for not only the show, but the MCU, has been Wanda's denial of grief. She built this fantasy to escape her reality, one tormenting her with loss after loss. To live in an idealized world where nothing ever goes wrong.
It's just like this wave washing over me again and again. It knocks me down, and when I try to stand up, it just comes for me again. And I can't. It's just gonna drown me.
Her make-believe world is an homage to sitcoms, and in this episode we find out that screens and sitcoms have really been the only constant in Wanda's life. She connected with her family over TV. A TV was all she had when being tested on by Hydra, and she even uses it to comfort herself after the incident in Lagos. And it is in this scene where we see why Wanda chose to live her fantasy in a sitcom.
No, he's not really injured.
Ah. How can you be certain?
It's not that kind of show.
It is a world where no one's hurt, which is all Wanda has longed for. It's why she seeked out Hydra, Ultron, and eventually the Avengers. Her journey has been trying to make the world a less hurtful place. A world where grief and pain and loss had no part to play. A world more like sitcoms. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Found in Frames is a new YouTube channel that aims to take a deeper look at content we love. So if you like this video, then please do all the good YouTube stuff and consider subscribing. If you agreed or disagreed with my thoughts, I'd love to hear them, so drop a comment and tell me what you found in Frames.